Welcome to our first PerryLabs Live. We're going to continue to do these webinars every month. So this is our first one in February, we have one in March, April, May, and we'll keep on going. Also, if you miss out on any of these webinars, we're going to post these on our YouTube channel. You can find the link at our PerryLabs website, perrylabs.io, and just go there and you can see all of the videos now and into the future. But today, we're going to start off by talking about how you can talk with your data, making AI talk to your data, which I think is something that's incredibly important for anyone who's really trying to reach into the powers that are there with AI. Now, I'm going to be your guide for this webinar. I'm Jason Michael Perry. I like to say I'm the man with three first names. I'm also the founder of PerryLabs. At PerryLabs, we are focused on emerging technology, or what I like to call the bleeding edge of technology, helping companies figure out how to take advantage of things like quantum, robotics, and of course, artificial intelligence. And for companies that really want to do more than just talk about AI, who want to deploy it and see the advantage that you can get from AI, it's important to look at some of these new technologies that are starting to pop up, like something that we're going to talk about in a minute. So the best place to start is to ask yourself, what if you could talk to the most important data that you have in your building? This can be whatever makes sense for whoever you are. If you're a support manager, maybe these are your support tickets, and you want to have a conversation to say, how long did these things take on average? If you're the CFO or in finance, maybe you want to have a conversation with QuickBooks or some other finance platform to ask it questions about your balance sheets and your profit and loss statements. But not just see the data, not just a report, but ask questions about that report. Just imagine this world where your inventory system is sitting right next to you and you can have a conversation. You can literally talk to it. And here's the thing. If you could talk to it, you can start to imagine that maybe you could have a whole bunch of your systems sitting here having a conversation with you. And they can start to connect things in a way that maybe you couldn't do before. That may mean your content relationship or your customer relationship management system, your CRM, like HubSpot or Salesforce, talking with your inventory system, talking with your finance system, and help you unearth potential ways to increase margin that you would have never been able to do. And this has always been the thing that businesses strive for, but what's made it difficult is that to get these answers, we create dashboards. We use business intelligence tools, right? Power BI. We write SQL statements. We create these really complex systems that allow these things to come together. And that is where AI is starting to really change the way that we do things. Now, if you've attended any of my sessions before or any of my speaking sessions, one of the things that you may hear me talk about is the importance of context. And that when you're using AI, giving it context about who you are, what you need, or your data is so incredibly important if you want to really get the most out of it. Now, this is beginning to happen using something called AI connectors. And these AI connectors, they're called different words or different things depending on what you use. They're connectors in some places. Some call them apps, and we'll explore that in a little bit. But these connectors allow you to give ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini access to your data and to pull your data in from all types of systems. Now, this is just a selected list, as we'll see in a demo in a moment. But as you can see, we could connect to HubSpot, Salesforce, all of the different Google products, Slack, and the list goes on and on and on. And this allows you to integrate this information directly into ChatGPT, directly into Claude, and ultimately Gemini as well. And as of right now, there are more than 10,000 of these servers that are starting to become available that give you the ability to do these types of things. So let's explore a little bit. So I'm going to start off with ChatGPT. And if you're using ChatGPT, you will notice that if you go to settings, there's now an option called apps. It used to have the name connectors, but now it's called apps. And this app listing here gives you the ability at the very top to add more apps. Now, I already have a few enabled, but we'll talk through that in a second. And if I hit add more, this takes me to ChatGPT's marketplace. This is a marketplace full of all types of apps. And one of the things that we do at PerryLabs is we help companies build these types of apps on top of their platforms, their SaaS platforms and other solutions, so they can expose these things to make it available. Some of these apps run locally, talking to your desktop applications machine. Some of them work with systems that are in the cloud. You can make it work however you like it to. And as you look at this list, you can start to imagine all types of possibilities. One that I think is pretty incredible is Figma. If you have a bunch of designs that you're working on, that you're prototyping your next mobile app or your next website or web application using Figma, well, we could also use Figma in combination with Asana to ask Figma about our designs and then take that information and use it with Asana to create tickets. And this could help a project manager move so much faster. Now, in my case, you may have noticed when we took a look at our settings option here and on apps, I have one already enabled for HubSpot. And so this HubSpot connection has a list of the different types of actions that I can do. And in addition to that, by enabling this is me giving HubSpot the permissions that I have as a user to PerryLabs. So I'm going to create a new chat. And if I hit the plus here, under more, I will see that HubSpot is an option in ChatGPT, which allows me to select it. And I can now ask questions of HubSpot, like, how many deals do I have? Now, when I ask this question, ChatGPT is going to realize that it has a tool, HubSpot. It's going to call that tool, and it's going to then make a query, and it's going to use that to get me back information. So it's letting me know that I have 133 deals, and it found that by searching HubSpot, and this gives me information about the query that was used behind the scenes to make this work. The same thing works in other applications. Just like we did using ChatGPT, if I go to my name at the very bottom corner, I select settings. I now have an option here for connectors. These are some connectors that I already have selected. And using Claude, I can browse and I can see that there are a ton of different connectors that are available. And I can select any of these connectors in the same way that I did with ChatGPT. You authenticate with your account, and then you can use those to ask questions. So just like in ChatGPT, I have HubSpot. Here in Claude, you will notice that it shows me HubSpot's enabled. So I can simply say something like, how many deals do I have in HubSpot? And so that's a quick search. It's going to think about it. It's going to realize it needs HubSpot. When you say you get user details here, that's it authenticating as me. After that, it's going to try and figure out the best way to do it. So it's searching the objects that are available in Claude, and it's coming back and giving me back an answer to that. And this is just a very high-level example to show you what's possible. Now, Google Gemini works in a similar way. But for right now, Google is a little limited on the number of connectors that they've made available, and there are more that I'm sure are coming. Google works exactly the same way. If we go here, we'll see that there's an option for connected apps. I've already enabled Google Workspace, which is the one option that's available here, but more options are rumored to come very soon. And this allows me to access things like Gmail. So if I create a new chat and I say, how many email messages do I have that are unread in? And if I use the @ symbol, it allows me to see the different applications that are available, like Gmail. And so I can ask this question to Gmail. And Gmail, when it says Workspace connecting, it's connecting to the Google Workspace, grabbing all this data, and it's letting me know that right now I have 12 unread email messages and other information. Right? So that's super powerful. That gives you the ability to start to tap into data using the AI tools that you're already working with. But what makes this even more amazing is that you don't have to stop there. You can start to create your own AI connectors. Custom AI connectors that understand your business, your data, your systems. And that really can unlock power that you can't even imagine. If you have a ton of revenue data and a ton of inventory data, and you really want to dig into it in a way that the report that you get from these different organizations and departments just doesn't give you the ability to do that, you can create these things yourself and then start to have a conversation with that data. Now, the underlying technology for how this all works, if you let me geek out for a little bit, it's called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. I've written a few times about this in my newsletter, Thoughts on Tech and Things. And ultimately, MCP, or Model Context Protocol Server, is a server that allows you to connect your data in a way that you can then use AI tools to interact with that data. All of those connectors or apps, those are all MCP servers that have been developed by someone. And we do this on companies' custom systems, so that way we can allow them to access their data and potentially interact with other MCP servers or apps or connectors to do some amazing things. If you're curious, I wrote a newsletter about it on Thoughts on Tech and Things. If you scan that QR code, you can go and take a read and see some more details about how this works, what it is. You can also just search for it, ask Perplexity, ask ChatGPT, ask whatever AI model you like, and learn more about how that works. So for most enterprise organizations, you've probably started to do something like create a data lake, data warehouse, data lakehouse, or do something that's called API orchestration, where you're connecting lots of systems together by using their APIs. Well, if you're doing those things, MCP becomes the next logical layer, because I can take MCP and I can put it on top of that data lakehouse that you've configured using Snowflake or Databricks. And all of that institutional data across the organization now becomes something that you can give to your team to have a conversation with. And that could be anything. Have a conversation with your HR data, your HRIS system. Have a conversation with your financial data. Have a conversation about how your business is doing and how you can increase revenue across the board. So I want to give a demo of this. And to do that, I had my team develop a special demo version of MCP. We went out and we created a server based off of this Northwind company. And if you've heard of that name before, this is the free database that would ship with Microsoft Access back in the day. And so this is a database that's filled with product and finance information. So it's just a really rich place to start to give you an idea of what's possible. So to use a custom MCP server in ChatGPT, if I go to my settings in apps, I have the advanced settings option here. You have to select that you want developer mode enabled. This is a requirement if you would like the ability to add a MCP server that's not available in ChatGPT's marketplace. This also is something that for right now only works in the web, in case you're looking and can't find this option on the Mac or Windows desktop app. Once it's enabled, you can activate your Northwind database, and you can see the different functionality that's available to it. So I'm going to ask to use Northwind to show me the top 20 products. And when I do this, it should start to call that to. So it says calling to, which means that it's calling the MCP server. And when it calls the MCP server, it's getting this information directly from the MCP server. So I can see which products are the top products, and I can see the information about the quantity. I can also ask it other questions like, what regions are the top spots for sales? And so once again, it's calling the tool, it's going to query, and then it's going to come back and show me where all my sales are happening. And so I'm starting to get information, and I'm starting to have a conversation with this data. Right? Now, this works exactly the same way in Claude. So I've already done this in Claude. I've already set this up. I'm going to just show you very quickly that in the settings option, in my connectors, in Claude, you just select the Add Custom Connector. You give it the location of your MCP server. You authenticate it. I've done that for Northwind, so it's already here and it's listed as custom, so you can see that it's available. So if I start a new chat, I can turn this Northwind connector on. And also, what's really cool in Claude is which is owned by Anthropic, is the company who made the MCP protocol. So I find that they're adding lots of really cool features constantly. But one of the things that they've also added is the ability to have prompt templates. So just like you may have a very popular report, like your balance sheet, well, you can create a prompt template that would give you back that type of response into your MCP server, so that everyone on your team gets back reports in exactly the same way. So I'm going to ask for the top 20 products at Northwind shown as a bar chart. And so similar to the way that this worked with ChatGPT, it should think about this. We can see top products. So just like with HubSpot, it's going and grabbing information and it's thinking about it. And what I always love about ChatGPT as well as Claude is that increasingly these things can start to create visualizations directly within the applications, right? So in the case of Claude, it can create an HTML page, it can create a docx file, or artifacts as it calls it, which allows it to create visualizations using the data sets that come from it. And so the ultimate thing, if you have a report that you need to do, is that you may want to go through this process of generating the data and getting this data back, but ultimately you need to show it. And so here, this has gone and grabbed information and created a top 20s Northwind's product list that shows the products and a nice graph. And this is HTML and a visualization. I could have asked it in a different format as a different document, but this gives you power to now give a visualization to your team that you can distribute, but to also have this ability to talk with your data and have a conversation with it. Now, this is just the beginning. And we're going to have a lot more webinars to explore other ways that you can do just amazing things with AI. But just imagine that you have an MCP server that can give you all of this data. Well, then you can start to create agentic workflows. When I say agentic workflows, I mean create something that happens without a human necessarily needing to be in the loop. So you can imagine that at 8 o'clock in the morning, a workflow kicks off that goes and checks to see what the sales are like in a specific country, generates a report and an email, and then says to the team whether or not they're doing as well as you expect to or not, or potentially takes actions. We've talked with companies where something goes wrong in the manufacturing process, an alert gets fired, and now you have an AI tool that's trying to diagnose it by talking to other systems to see what's happening, and it gives you back its suggestions as opposed to putting you in a position that you have to do the research. And more importantly, I can talk to more than one MCP server at the same time. So I can take the data that comes from my custom MCP server like Northwind and pair that with information about my customers and create reports that may have required a team of data scientists before. And this scaling, this power is the stuff that starts to unlock the abilities of what AI can do for your team and your organization. So, of course, we can help you build this. And if you want to know more, go to www.PerryLabs.io, fill out a contact form, or just take a look at our case studies. If you found this content useful, please make sure that you subscribe to our next set of webinars. Again, we're going to have one every month, and we'll also have a Q&A section for people to ask questions and explore how this can help your business. Also, remember, these are available on YouTube. We'll have some snippets on social media, so make sure you subscribe and like. Thank you for joining.